So yesterday I made a couple of videos to a guy named Ravenwolf, after which he subsequently put all of his videos to private and said he was getting on a Greyhound bus. He may be coming here to stab me, I don't know. But after this, I realized that I was rather mean. It made me feel like a bully or a thug, you know, like I just beat up a fifth grader and took his lunch money. So I thought, you know, maybe I should try to do something good to balance my karma, as if I believed in that stupid shit. He sent me a very lengthy PM saying, refute this, fucker. And I don't know about refuting it, but I will address the points one by one. I'm going to try to get through the whole thing, but it is an extremely long PM, and I'm not well known for my patience. But I'm going to try. And furthermore, I'm going to try to not engage in vicious mocking. But when I say this, understand it's like a smoker saying, I'm going to try to get through the day without a cigarette. You can root for me, but manage your expectations. Here we go. This message is not intended to degrade you personally. It is a mere understanding from observation and communication between many atheists and many theists. We just want you to know that if you continue to be an atheist, you should avoid the type of atheists explained below. This is not a generalization of all atheists. Please do not take this message as insulting or condemning you personally. If atheists are rational thinkers, then how come we have to constantly correct them when they make fallacious arguments that have duped religious people into letting go of their faith? Okay, and then it says 1, false, colon. By the way, they all say like false, colon, and then some sort of thing that atheists believe. Alright. I can know that there is no cause for material existence which is greater than anything found in material existence. Category error. Well, here's a problem. That's a lot of poorly defined stuff. Material existence. There is no cause for material existence. Well, I mean, first, what do you mean by material existence, and what do you mean by greater than material existence? Like, think about this. We know that there's dark matter in the universe, and while it is unanimously believed by scientists, it's almost just as unanimously believed that it's not baryonic matter like the stuff we're composed of. So, you know, it could be going through us at any time. It doesn't absorb, reflect, or emit light. So we can't interact with it, we can't see it, we can't touch it. But does it exist? Does it occupy material existence? Well, it does have an effect on the material world that we know in its gravitational effects, but it's not what we would consider a material per se, in the sense that we can't actually detect it in any way but the aggregate effects of a whole lot of it on, say, the shapes of our galaxies and galaxy clusters. Now, I know this might seem like hair-splitting, but it's you're making a definite statement with fuzzy words. It reminds me of a discussion we were having on the supernatural, Mr. Bruce Shepard, and how you were calling me irrational for saying that the supernatural couldn't exist even in logical principle. Let me expound upon that. Okay. It was about Jesus' magic powers. Suppose Jesus did have magic powers and there was a God. Let's just stipulate that as a given. These things are correct. Now, let's also say that Jesus' magical powers are a direct consequence of God willing these things that Jesus did to happen. I.e., Jesus says, hey, I have some water, turn it into wine, and God is somehow using his powers to turn the water into wine. Well, in order for God's will to effect this outcome, there would have to be some mechanism mediating this process. Otherwise, God's will and the water turning to wine really would be just a coincidence. He would have to have there would have to be some way for him to do it, some rules by which reality operated that would allow him to perform such an action. And these rules, being a part of the construct of reality, would by definition be natural, not supernatural. Again, this might seem pedantic, but the supernatural really is just natural stuff we don't understand, because the only way we can understand anything is the rules and mechanisms by which it operates. Something that doesn't operate by any kind of mechanism whatsoever can't really be said to exist. Anyway, let's move on to the next point. Oh yeah. Also, I mean, it's not that a person says that we know there is no cause for material existence so much as any kind of thing that we might come up with as speculation, some a little bit more valid than other, and some shit that comes out of an ancient book is, I think, is pretty much safe to dismiss out of hand. Alright, false. I can know that there is no existence beyond the mass energy space-time existence to which humans are limited. Well, I don't know if I've ever said that, but in a real sense, to us, no, there isn't, because what we consider existence is within a framework of time, space, matter, and energy as we understand it. Now, there might be other stuff outside of the universe, but insofar as we couldn't possibly interact with it in any way whatsoever, then no, it doesn't really exist. It is false to reject P, yet claim that you have no belief concerning P. Claim doesn't match action reality. Well, not a problem for me. I'm not saying I don't have a belief concerning the existence of God. I will straight up tell you that that is some fucking made up bullshit. Total fucking fiction. I guess that is a belief, isn't it? It's not a lack of belief. Bullshit. Okay. Now, let's see. It is false to reject logical claims of first cause deductions based solely on rejection of ecclesiasticism, fallacy of guilt by association, and black and white fallacy. Well, the good news is I have no fucking clue what ecclesiasticism is. It sounds like some Bible-y shit to me. As for the first cause doohickey, as I understand it, it's like every cause has a cause before it, and a cause before that, and a cause before that, etc., all the way to the beginning of time. What's the very first cause? It must be Jesus, right? Something like that. So there's a little bit of a problem with this, namely that, yeah, we do, like, these sort of cause and effect extrapolations are very useful for any kind of thing that we're doing in the universe now or for the past few billion years. The problem is, cause and effect as we understand it really only applies to, you know, the proper context of the universe itself, not things outside of the bounds of the universe. Like, for instance, the beginning of the universe. I guess the beginning of the universe is just within the bounds of the universe, but the laws of physics were quite different. And, you know, cause and effect as we understand it is really just our perception of time. And time is, in a way, sort of an illusion. We sense time as being as it is because we're thermodynamic systems, i.e. the laws of thermodynamics give rise to the illusion of time. Like, let's say this is time 0, 1, 2, 3. How do I know that 3 seconds have passed? Well, okay, you know, the biochemistry of my body, it's metabolizing sugar, converting it into ATP. This is driving my neurons. These are firing in order. All of these utilizing, or basically operating under the laws of thermodynamics. And so I say that time is passing. And from this illusion of time, we also get cause and effect. But outside of the bounds of the physics of the universe, cause and effect is utterly meaningless. It really is. And so is time, too, but it's just really difficult to conceptualize existence without time. Or there might be another sort of deep time, you know, outside of the universe itself, but we really can't understand that for the reasons that I mentioned before. Theists must show material evidence there is non-material existence. Well, I don't know if I've ever said that. I mean, again, you had this material, non-material thing. It doesn't really make sense. Like, okay, let's say that there is a non-material existence, and you're like, well, I can't prove this non-material existence using material existence. Well, then why are we talking about it? If it has no impact on the physical world that we know and understand, then how can it really be said to exist? I mean, it might exist on some other plane or other dimension, but if it doesn't interact with us in any kind of measurable or noticeable way, then in every practical sense, it does not exist. Alright. False. Atheism is based on evidence and logic, but needs neither for support in order to reject the existence of non-material dimensions, because atheism need not adhere to the burden of rebuttal. Special pleading. I don't know what the burden of rebuttal is, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that the strength of a counter-argument should be directly proportional to the strength of the original argument. Okay, so a person might say, God exists. Why do you say that? Some guys told me. They said, there's a God, Jesus. Well, where did they learn that? Some books. People told them. People told those people. All the way back to a bunch of primitives, That's solid evidence, man. Well, I mean, you come at me with that weak sauce, I'm going to say, off you go. Your fifth order hearsay is, I don't even need a rebuttal. I think I'm being kind, just not slapping you for wasting my fucking time. False. Atheism is not a religion despite having religious content, beliefs concerning deity, and the propensity to evangelize and demand that government be limited to their worldview regarding religion. Well, here's the thing. Despite having religious content, I wouldn't... Just not believing in God, that's not exactly... I don't understand what you think religious content is. I mean, there's no going to buildings and, reciting scriptures and shit. I don't know, admittedly. I'm one of those rogue atheists. I don't really get into the whole scene, right? Richard Dawkins, I haven't read his shit. Christopher Hitchens, I haven't read his shit. Carl Sagan, I haven't read his shit. But, yeah, I don't know what you mean by religious content. Belief concerning a deity, it's more like, you know what, I'm going to pass over this one, because with the whole atheism plus thing, that shit really is turning into this religion, so I mean, I'm going to give you a point for that one. Onward we go. False. Atheism has no ethic or morality attached to it, yet claim that atheists are good without God. Internally contradictory, non-coherent. Yes, atheists are good without God, or they're fucking bad without God. They're everything without God. That's what it is to be an atheist. Now, when people say atheists are good without God, they're obviously talking about the atheists that are good without God. Unlike the atheists like me who are straight up fucking killers. But I mean, it's not inconsistent as long as you understand that good and bad are values that are not a transcendent order from a supreme deity, but rather judgments we ourselves can make. And we ourselves can judge people to be good or bad. Now, other people might disagree, but if I say I am good without God, then, that's a valid opinion to have, even if other people would disagree with it. False. Since there are demonstrably myths, then all references to non-material existence are declared to be myths by association. Fallacy of guilt by association. Well, if the only reason we believe any kind of non-material existence exists is the myths, and we know them to be myths, then the source, which we know is not credible, I mean, why would we believe things that come from a source which we know is not credible? That's just crazy. Yeah, it's not guilt by association, it's more like fruit from the poisonous tree or some shit like that. Okay. I know that some have made that statement without much evidence. And I know that atheists themselves... Oh, okay, sorry. Atheism is a religion, capitalized is. I know that some atheists have made that statement without much evidence. I know that atheists themselves heatedly deny it. I've heard rejoinders, if atheism is a religion, then not playing baseball is a sport, or atheism, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing, buddy. You don't have to call me an atheist. If you... whatever. Don't call me an atheist. I never used to call myself an atheist, and with Atheism Plus, I'm seriously thinking about, coming up with a whole new word. Maybe I should just say I'm going rogue. The thesis that you need to grasp about my worldview is fuck your retarded religious shit, whatever variety it happens to be. Show me some evidence, show me some logic, otherwise just shut the fuck up, because I'm not going to accept whatever the fuck you're saying on the basis of your mythologies, whatever those mythologies may be. You don't have to call me an atheist. Ding! Problem solved. Ah, damn. From here on in, he has stopped bullet pointing them. I never actually read through the whole thing. I didn't realize this. And I don't know if you guys realize this, when you only have one eye, it actually makes it difficult to find a particular spot on a page. You might see I do this when I read, Just try covering one eye and then reading off of a screen, looking away, and then finding the same spot. It's damn difficult. Or maybe it's only difficult once your brain rewires to only have one eye. Who the fuck knows? But I'll try to stay the course. The genetic fallacy, referring to atheists. The genetic fallacy is the lapse in logic whereby one seeks to discredit some belief or belief system, but I think he meant by pointing out that its origins are suspect. Atheists employ this fallacy against religion both as a general phenomenon and a particular one. Well, there are some nuances to the genetic fallacy that I think you are missing here. Okay, let's say that a Christian says evolution is untrue because Charles Darwin on his deathbed said that he didn't believe in it. See, that would be a genetic fallacy because although the idea did originate with Charles Darwin, it now has a great deal of evidence to support it. The theory has been tested, has all this evidence, is verified. At this point, Charles Darwin himself is kind of secondary to the whole thing. Similarly, if Albert Einstein were still alive and he started telling everybody, you know that relativity shit? Totally made it up. I was just bullshitting, motherfucker. Well, somebody points out and says, look, relativity's false. Well, no, because, again, we have tested the predictions of relativity, and it has a high degree of congruence with known physical reality. Okay? And it's not necessarily the origin of a belief system. That's not right. It's the origin of an idea. Like another one. Let's say, it's actually hotly disputed among historians whether a guy named Pythagoras actually existed and came up with this shit. Nobody really knows for sure. But that's no reason to stop using the Pythagorean theorem because it's of its obvious, well-known, and tried and true utility, okay? So it would be a genetic fallacy to say, let's stop using the Pythagorean theorem because Pythagoras is a fictional character, okay? Now let me contrast this with the Bible, or any religion, really. Well, let's just go with Christianity. This isn't things that can be independently verified, they can't be independently tested, and to the extent that they have been independently tested, they've been shown to be false over and over. They are incongruent with known physical reality, which really means that the veracity of such a belief system entirely hinges upon the credibility of the people telling you that this shit is real. So the people who wrote the Bible, the people who came up with this stuff, the people who are saying this stuff, everything hinges upon their credibility and what knowledge they might possess. So if they are spinning a story that is incongruent with known physical reality, and they are primitives, and the things that they are saying are consistent with those things that primitives might say, well, I mean, it's not a genetic fallacy at all. It's just logical deduction determining the credibility of a source when that source is the only reason for believing such a thing. Jargonizing. Even in the more sophisticated atheist works, there is a tendency to replace argument with basically name-calling. Therefore, faith is irrational and antiquated. Religious belief, mythology, or fairy tales. Very rarely are these words given definitions, blah blah blah, and damn it. Computer just went off. Instead, these words are thrown about carelessly in order to taint the associations one has with religion and faith. Actually, let me explain this to you. Here's one of the problems with religion. It has a lot of undeserved respect and credibility and legitimacy. Okay, so like the word faith. I'm going to go again with Christianity. Christianity, they're like, oh, faith is important. And by the way, when somebody's telling you that faith is important, they're probably also telling you some straight-up horse shit. But forget about that for now. Faith has this, like, good meaning, right? Like, ooh, faith is good. Like, people just accept that because they've been told that. But if you just point out that, hello, it's irrational, that this is inconsistent with how rational people evaluate reality, which is to say with evidence, then, I mean, it takes it down a peg. It shows it for what it really is. It's not like, faith, ooh, it's so good. It's like, irrational, motherfucker. And you can't say that it's not irrational, because this is how How sane people evaluate reality is on the basis of the evidence with which they are presented. To believe something without evidence, it kind of epitomizes the concept of being irrational. Okay, antiquated. Well, I mean, this is the modern age, right? I mean, believing in magic and stuff, I mean, antiquated. You know, I'm just saying. Taking religion down a peg, that's what it's about. It has all of this, ooh, this is sacred, we don't talk about this disrespectfully because it's religion. Yeah, I gotta knock that shit down for the shit that it is. So, pardon the disrespectful language, but I mean, if we use the ultra-respectful, emotionally charged religious language, we're not really going to make any headway because the religious language is, you know, rather favorable toward religion. Alright. Invocation of science. This tactic really has no rational grounding, but it's popular nonetheless. Atheists make different claims about science, but they all have a semi-magical quality to them, as if merely invoking science vindicates whatever claim you happen to be making. Some claims are, I can't believe in God because science, evolution has disproved it. No, that's a stupid thing to say. I don't believe in God because it's some straight up fucking horse shit that there's no reason to believe because a bunch of goddamn primitives came up with it and it's been passed along, hearsay, generation after generation, evolving plainly. I mean, we can see the religions evolving through time. I mean, there used to be just like one type of Christianity, and then it split into Greek Orthodox Catholicism, and then Roman Orthodox Catholicism, and then Roman Orthodox Catholicism spread upward, you know, absorbing various pagan languages like from the Franks and the Germanic tribes, and that's why there's so many paganistic things within Roman Catholicism as it spread through those regions, because I mean the best way to convert people to your religion is to subsume their religion into yours. Really, Catholicism is like the religion equivalent of the Borg. I'm sorry, I got off track here, but all I'm saying is evolution, yeah, that's not exactly a reason not to believe in that shit. The fact that it's plainly fucking untrue is a good reason not to believe in that shit. Many atheists will accept by word of mouth and by faith what another atheist tells them, but deny what a Christian will tell them based upon their prejudices. Well, that's certainly not true of me. I mean, Mendham is an atheist, and I often call him on his total retarded bullshit. Same with all of these ethicist, anti-natalist motherfuckers. So, I mean, hey, that might be true of some atheists. I guess that's why I'm not an atheist. I'm a Snakepliskinist. But, let's see, you know, there was a time when I did find it to be a genuine curiosity why people would believe these silly things, and I would ask them, you know, like, why do you believe this? Why do you believe that? Why do you believe that? And, you know, when you really run through every thread of thought that is involved with this, it always boils down to faith. And I gotta tell you, here's my impression, here's what I think of faith. Okay, faith. Ooh, just believe it. I mean, if you're going to have faith, what do you know to have faith in? If there's no evidence, you know, why not just make some shit up and have faith in that? It's meaningless. Faith is nothing. Faith is just a tool to manipulate the gullible, okay? I'm sorry. That's not a prejudice. That's a judice. Alright, I said I'd try to get as far through it as I could, and, you know, I think I made it just about a little past halfway through this thing, but I'm exhausted. And you might have noticed that there was very little, if any, vicious mocking. So, I mean, bully for me, right? I know this, and that probably makes for a boring video. But anyway, man, I am done. I gotta go take a nap or some shit. TTFN.